As you well know by this point, um, big fan of motorbikes, big fan of football, big fan of fishing and drinking and all that kind of stuff. But today, motorbikes the agenda. Why should you get one? Well, to be honest, it's freedom. It's freedom that you can't really explain before doing it. It's one of those things that once you've tried it, you're probably not going to want to go back. Never owned a car. To be honest, not a huge fan of cars. Just they feel very confined. They feel quite clunky and just big. Whereas a bike, it's like feeling nimble. It's the freedom to be honest, cut lanes, to go fast at the exact moment, and also it's just using the whole of your body to move. With a car, it feels very static, kind of just sitting down like that. And of course, there are bikes that are kind of like that. That are a little bit more kind of armchairy almost. Certainly some of the Harleys that you get these days, where you see the guys in their 60s, middle ages, rocking up and sitting back like that, the whole how bikers eat their spaghetti thing. But no, they are genuinely brilliant. It's freedom that you can't explain. It's freedom that it's joyful, you know. There's nothing quite like the feeling of just joy you get on a bike. People talk about like after going gym or after exercising or fighting or whatever it is that you get that kind of like massive endorphin rush. But being on a motorbike feels like that the entire time, or like depending on how long you're riding for. There is a grace point, obviously. Like if you're riding for a long time, you do eventually start getting tired and it stops being as fun. But if you're doing a ride for like what, 2 hours ish, even up to that point, it's just like it's fun, it's relaxing, and honestly, never driven a car, but can say that riding a bike feels like just a flow state. And it's just, you're in there, and obviously you have to be kind of hyper vigilant to be able to ride safely, to be able to ride, to enjoy it, to be honest. The hypervigilance while also being kind of relaxed is a weird flow state, but it is really, really fun. Like knowing when to kind of put, you know, foot to metal, or, go full throttle, whatever it might be, obviously very legally, is the great thing about biking. And it's something you don't really get in the same way with cars. Obviously you can kind of with a car, but it's less on demand, it's less punchy, it's less impactful. And to be honest, it's just the feeling of freedom, like the air rushing at you, being able to maneuver around corners, just like using your full body to like tilt and stuff and whatever it might be. You don't even have to go full Valentino Rossi. You can just have fun. And that's the thing. There's so many different ways to ride a motorbike. There's so many different places you can ride a motorbike. With a lot of cars, it is generally just on road and in and around certain areas. But with a bike, it opens up the potential to, if you want to go into the forest on your bike and, your wheels are, put the right way and, you're, kind of got the technique to be able to do that, the world's your oyster. It's a bit more difficult to do with cars because they're that much bigger. It's the freedom to, maneuver and get through traffic and do all that kind of more snappy things. Waiting is not something you really have to do as much on a bike, which is a big appeal for a lot of people. Because obviously, like, Friday traffic is a pain. It's Friday today. Riding through rush hour Swansea is not fun. Especially on a Friday or any nice day. Everyone's going up to Mumbles, and it's kind of like nice just to go, you're all waiting in line. Lane splitting. You save so much time. And if you do value time, if you kind of got a bit of ADHD or there or thereabouts, it's nice just to be able to do things, get places, and you use your whole body, so it is feeling useful. Everything is feeling used. And yeah, there's the whole argument of it's a bit dangerous. Again, everything has risks. Driving a car is dangerous, to be honest. There's a hell of a lot of deaths in the UK. It's one of the main causes of death in the UK is car accidents or on-road accidents. So yeah, there's obviously that. Any vehicle that's going at high speed, there is a risk. And you have to adapt. You have to know yourself, to be honest. Know how you can control the vehicle. Know how to be safe. And yeah, at the end of the day, part of it is in God's hands or whatever, your metric for that is. It's just chance, to be honest. Because yeah, something could just come out at you or there could just be, anything. You could get hit by lightning or a tree or something absurd. So at the end of the day, that's just life. You got to kind of, you know, just grim and bear it because things happen. The main selling point for a bike is the freedom, is the joy that you will get. And if you are someone that is watching this video, you probably are thinking about bikes or already do ride. Dude, it's amazing. It's amazing. Like, the amount of people say, really want to ride a bike, but kind of don't have the money and stuff. And like, that's a, you know, not to say that are bad reasons to not ride a bike, but that's understandable. If you're in the position, you kind of want to try one out or something. If you're in the UK, a CBT is fairly cheap. Now, you could rent a bike over the summer or something like that, and, you know, not to assume anyone's financial situations, because a bike is a very expensive responsibility. You have to buy all the gear, and you can't really skimp out on that, to be honest. You've got to buy the bike, the insurance, you know, and any other little extras you want on top of that. If you are wanting to go on tours, that's, again, another thing you have to pay for, but it is also that social life that you get from it. Car meets, bike meets, you know, anything like that. You just get the general kind of, like, friendliness you get with bikers around your area, too. If you're someone that rides a bike all the time, you don't own a car, for example, you get into these cliques kind of just like socially, where you'll ride past people that are all year bikers and you're like, yeah, you've got the like Kawasaki Ninja or something, and they'll see you and, you know, give each other a wave, and, you know, you might never speak to them, but you might do, and it's just that small kind of thing that you don't get with car drivers as much. You know, there are obviously the ones like, I don't know, if two people in like a Miata or like a slightly more niche car, you might get it, but in general, it's a nice kind of little click that you can get. And sure, you might be put off maybe a little bit by the whole, bikers are like dangerous. Motorbikes are like, you know, bikers are nasty people, or bikers are this, that, the other. At the end of the day, bikers are just regular people that happen to own a motorbike. Now, yeah, there will be some oddballs, there will be some absolute psychopaths that ride bikes, but there will be people like that in any demographic. So don't get put off by that if you are kind of umming and ahhing, like, people might think like, I don't know, you're in the Hell's Angels or something like that. Like, no, come on. If you just own a motorbike and you're not being a pain, you know, then it's fine. And sure, there is the whole kind of stereotype of, loads of bikers came into this bar and smashed it up or whatever. Like, that doesn't tend to happen as much these days. Obviously, it's not to say it doesn't happen at all, but it's less common. And that social element, as long as the freedom side, as well as the kind of just, to be honest, like the kind of almost therapeutic side of it, where you can just ride, listen to music, ride, listen to a podcast, ride and listen to nothing at all besides the engine and the best. No matter what you do, riding, as long as you're not going somewhere that's stressful, you know, if you've got like a date or something and you're riding, it can really help to bring you down before it. You know, anything like that, a job interview, hop on the bike, go down, kind of just chill. You know, it's a nice way to relax. Also, just economically as well, a lot cheaper than a car. And the waiting lists for CBTs, if you're in the UK, or not sure about other countries what the system is, but it's a lot cheaper than having a car. So if you are like, you know, in your mid-teens, late teens, you know, you don't want to get on the waiting list for a car, maybe for a few years, just use a bike. There is obviously the whole stigma. Some people's, you know, like parents or guardians, this kind of stuff, will be a little bit tacky with it, like, you might die, and yeah, that's part of life though, isn't it? You could die doing anything, you know? Don't let that hold you back, because if fear of death is holding you back from something you genuinely want to do, give your head a bit of a wobble, give it a think, and if it is genuinely like that, the fear of it is worse than the actual will to do it, then that's okay. Like, it might be something you overcome later, it might not be, and, you know, that's part of the human experience. You've got to do what you want to do, be authentic. But once you've done it a few times, once you've kind of broken that duck, once you're comfortable, the fear of dying kind of goes. Obviously, at the end of the day, you're doing something that it could be fatal, but you do that every time you eat something, you could choke. You do it every time you get in the shower, you could slip and smack your head, you know? So, at the end of the day, it is obviously more dangerous than, you know, eating or going in the shower, but, you know, it's calculated risk, and a lot of that risk comes down to you. Defensive riding, and that's all that stuff that you'll learn about, or you know, kind of figure out the more you do something. It's like anything in life. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it, and the more fun you're going to end up having, you know? No one's amazing at anything the first few times they do it. Well, some people are. But, you know, it's a learning curve. Don't be put off by the fact that if you do go for your CBT, you fail it, or something like that, you know, you have a bad experience once. It happens. And if it is a, you know, scarring one, traumatic one, then completely understandable. But give it a chance if it's something you want to do. Don't be held back by the fact that other people don't want you to do it, or by the fact that, you know, it might be dangerous, because eventually that duck gets broken mentally, you know? And listen, anxiety about kind of things that have social stigma are completely understandable. At the end of the day, you are sitting on an engine that can go up to like 200 miles an hour potentially, depending on the strength of the bike. Obviously, if your first bike in the UK, it's a 125 or a 50cc or somewhere in that ballpark, you know, you're probably not going to be breaking any speed records. But from point A to point B, it's convenient, it's cheap, it's a lot of fun, it opens social doors, and it's therapeutic. And that is why, if you're considering it, you should get a motorbike. Consider it, you know? It's great fun. And it makes your life better. You know? It's expensive, absolutely. And, you know, be at least a few thousand. Like, at the very minimum, probably about, like, 2k, absolute minimum, to get your first bike, all the gear, CBT done, and all that stuff. At the very minimum. So it is a big, you know, thing to take on. That's also not considering insurance. If you're a younger person, it's probably going to be higher. If you already own a car, it'll probably be a little bit cheaper, or if you get a plan with someone else on it, then again, it affects prices. But again, if it's something you want to do, you've got the money, you've got the passion, you know, bite the bullet. It's worth it. If you don't enjoy it, it sounds stupid, but at the end of the day, it can all be solved, you know? You might take a bit of a hit, but at least you tried something new, and that's the thing, you know? Trying something new that you might love might change your life. You know, you never know who you'll meet, you never know what you might go to, where you'll go, the things you'll see, you know? It could be amazing. And regardless if you do or don't do it, it will change your life, depending on which one you take. So, that's that. That's enough of that. And, yeah, hopefully see you around. What's that? Cheers. Thanks for watching.